The 401k is your greatest wealth building tool. How can you absolutely crush it and build an enormous 401k balance? I've got 5 steps coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I am the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Okay, so your 401k, like it or not, and it wasn't intended to be what it actually is, but it is. It is your biggest, it is your best wealth building tool. And you know, if you work for a hospital or nonprofit, instead of 401k, think 403b. If you work for a small business, instead of 401k, think simple IRA. But I'm gonna generalize all of those retirement plans and say your 401k, your employer provided retirement plan is your greatest wealth building tool. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Was it actually intended to be this? No, it wasn't. But this is where we are. It's your greatest wealth building tool. So how can you use it to your advantage and wherever you're at right now, build a massive balance, a huge nest egg inside of your 401k? I just did some math here, applying the principles that I'm going to share with you right now. These 5. You should have a balance after 35 years of more than $2 million inside your 401k. Just doing the math, okay? I'll do future videos where I break down the math and actually show you how you can build a 401k worth $2 million or $5 million or whatever. I'll share that. But just applying these 5 principles in a simple situation, you should build a 401k balance in the $2 million range. All right, so what are these? Number 1. You've got to start early. You've got to start early. The compound interest that you can have over time is one of your greatest wealth building features of the 401k. All right, so you've got to start early. So a couple principles that I would share with you. Start at your very first job. Start at your very first job. So if that's while you're in college or you're doing some part-time stuff or you're taking gap years or whatever, these aren't years where you can just kind of throw away for your retirement. No, I would start saving immediately from your very, very first job. And if you're unsure about starting when you're just doing a part-time job, something like that, then fine. Start from your very first job out of college or from your very first full-time job where you're working 40 hours a week, something like that. If you're parsing together a couple part-time jobs or you're more of a freelancer or self-employed, start immediately. Start immediately. Even if you don't have a 401k available, start saving immediately. If you're hearing this and are thinking, well, I didn't do that, and so I guess this video is not for me, well then start immediately. Start right now. So the old adage, right? When's the best time to plant an acorn? Well, 20 years ago, actually, you'd have a huge oak tree right now. Well, what's the second best time? Right now. Right now. Start it right now. So today, this very moment is the earliest moment that you have control over. Yeah, yesterday is the past. You could have done something yesterday, but if you didn't, right now is the earliest moment that you have. So use that. Start early. The second way to build a massive 401k is to contribute a healthy amount. Make sure you're contributing a large amount, a good amount. Now, what is that? Most people contribute just enough to get the company match. Just enough to get the company match. That's awesome. You don't want to leave free money on the table. But in order to get that $2 million that I shared in that math earlier, I wasn't counting on any company match. Okay, so for you, you're not in control of your company match. How much it is, whether they get rid of it, whether they increase it, you're not in control of that. And guess what? Your retirement isn't relying on your employer. Your retirement's on your shoulders. That's your responsibility. And so for you, don't just do up to the match limit. Contribute a healthy amount. Now, what is that? You've got to build a retirement plan to actually see how much you should be saving, what a healthy amount is for you. Why is this answer found in the context of a retirement plan, a comprehensive financial plan? Because I don't know if you're going to have a pension. I don't know if you're planning to work until 70. I don't know if you're planning to work until 58. So all of those variables influence how much you should be saving. If you haven't done a retirement plan or a comprehensive financial plan, I would tell you just start at 15%. Dave Ramsey and other folks might say, well, you've got to start at 10%. Nah, I don't think so. Your Social Security, right, that you joke and say, well, it's not going to be there, or they're going to make changes. It only accounts for about a third of the average person's retirement income need. What's going into Social Security is 12%. 12% is going into Social Security. And if that's only supposed to account for a third of what you need, why would 10% give you the rest of it? No. So out of FICA, 6.2% of your FICA goes to Social Security, and then your employer matches that 6.2%. So that's 12.4 that's going to Social Security. So if you just do that math, you got to do 15% or more. I would tell you, get that retirement plan in place, get that built to figure out exactly how much you need to do, and then I would do 15%. Hopefully there's a match on top of it, and you're off to the races. Okay? But make sure you're starting early and you're contributing a healthy amount. Quick example on that. I had a client very early in my career who was very focused on investment returns. He loved his growth fund. Every time we met, he wanted to talk about the performance. Here's the problem. He was only contributing $100 a month. And for some of you, that might be enough. For him, we'd calculated it. He needed to save $1,000 a month. So it really didn't matter what the performance of his favorite fund was. $100 a month wasn't going to cut it. You needed to do 1,000. So make sure you start early, make sure you contribute a healthy amount. Third, you've got to make sure that you're investing in a disciplined, diversified mix of investments. We hear it, my team of CFPs here at Korhorn Financial Group, we hear it all the time. People come in, and as we're getting to know their situation, trying to find out, hey, how can we help you? What are you looking for? They'll say something like, well, I just don't really have a good 401k, so I need to invest somewhere else or do something else. And we actually look at their 401k. It's not that it's a bad 401k, they just didn't choose great investments. You don't need to have great investments inside your 401k, you just need to pick the right allocation. So there's several examples I can share with you, but folks that have just been saving into the money market or the low risk fund. Maybe you were put into the low risk fund automatically, and over 15 years you look and you're like, this thing isn't doing anything for me. Well, yeah, because you had different index funds that you could have invested in, but you were just investing in the low risk fund or the target date fund. No, you've got to look at what investment options are available within your 401k. Okay? And you've got to figure out what's the right mix of stocks and bonds. What's the right mix of US and international? What's the right mix of large cap, mid cap, small cap, emerging markets, real estate. Okay, so you've got to make that decision. Kevin Korhorn, the founder of the firm here, has said, after figuring out how much to contribute, your most important financial decision of your life is figuring out what investment mix to invest in. And he's right. I mean, if over the long term, your investment mix is only going to return 2% a year, it's going to be very hard for you to get to that $2 million number I mentioned. But if you have a diversified mix of really good index funds or investments, then you can achieve 8-10% per year on average. And that should help you reach that $2 million number or even exceed it. So make sure you're picking a good mix of diversified investments that fit your risk tolerance and your long-term goals. The fourth step in figuring out how to build a massive 401k is consistent rebalancing. Rebalancing is the ongoing kind of pruning work of trimming what's overgrown and maybe watering extra areas that are undergrown. If you're picking a good mix of investments, okay, and large cap stocks and mid cap stocks and small cap stocks, let's just take that for example right now. We've gone through an amazing stretch where large cap stocks have done significantly better than small cap stocks. But if you look over the past 100 years, even the past 50 years, small cap stocks are deliver a much better long-term return than large cap. It just happens to be reversed right now. So if you're investing into each a certain percentage, well, right now your large cap stocks have done a lot better. So they're actually a larger percentage than what you originally intended. Well, rebalancing is the process of trimming off some of those gains and reinvesting those dollars into areas that haven't performed as well recently in the short term, maybe small cap stocks. So saying it differently, rebalancing is the way of selling high and buying low. That's the only way to make money in investments. I love the idea of systematically rebalancing, automatically rebalancing, doing it every 6 months, once a year, every 4 months, or every 3 months. We're going to talk more about that, but at least doing it once a year, a rebalancing on your 401k. That's the fourth step to building a massive 401k. All right, the fifth and final step to build a massive 401k is repeat steps 1 through 4. I'm not kidding. It is to stay consistent, stay disciplined, continue to start early, never stop, continue to invest a healthy amount, never stop, continue to invest in the right mix of investments, never stop, and continue to rebalance, never stop. Why would I bring that up? Look at what's happening right now. Look at what's happened in this year, 2020, where we've had extreme highs and lows, extreme uncertainty, extreme division in our country and globally. Those are the folks that have been rewarded if you haven't changed throughout this year. If you've stayed invested, okay, so start early and you haven't stopped. If you've continued to save a healthy amount throughout this year and haven't stopped. If you've continued to save aggressively, resisted the temptation to go to safety or start contributing just to cash, okay? And then if you've rebalanced consistently, those folks that if you apply those principles certainly this year, you've been rewarded, okay? So if you're trying to achieve a huge 401k at some point in the future, applying these simple but 5 steps of doing these first 4 and then repeating and consistently applying these steps, you will go from a small 401k to a large 401k. As always, I'm going to tell you, you've got to build out that overall comprehensive financial plan because you've got to see what your inputs need to be. What size nest egg, what size retirement nest egg do you actually need to build that to fit your goals, to reach your goals? That's what you've got to figure out using a comprehensive financial plan and looking at the retirement planning section of that. And then you can figure out, well, how much do I need to be saving? Should it be 15%? Should it be 18%? Could it only be 10%? Something like that. All right. Work with your certified financial planner. Figure that out. If you don't have one, you can always contact a member of our team. Find us online, wisemoneyshow.com, or also corehorn.com, that's Corehorn with a K, or you can always send us an email, info@corehorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.